Hello, I'm Monica Price and welcome to Cuppa TV. On today's show we will be looking at how both the young and old are being affected by mental health issues. We welcome Suzanne Skeete from Tappy Twins, an organisation that looks after vulnerable young people. We also welcome Stef Lunn from the MCA project, who will be explaining how it can be very helpful in understanding the Mental Capacity Act. My first guest today is Suzanne Skeete from Tappy Twins, an organisation that looks after children with emotional issues. So Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me again.
You've been on Cuppa TV before, so it's wonderful to have you back. And since then, I know a lot's been going on. So
a little bit crazy.
First of all, Suzanne, tell people who missed the first show a little bit about what Tappy Twins actually do.
Okay, Tappy Twins basically help support children from a very young age up to sort of university age, really. And we go within schools and colleges. Tappy Twins is more aimed at the smaller children. So we go in and we help support them that have gone through major traumas, any issues or behavioural problems, or specific needs like Asperger's, ADHD, and we use a lot of energy therapies like EFT to help them overcome all of those issues. And yeah, it's just seriously madness. Since we've last been on, we've just expanded all over the country as well, which has been amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, you work with quite a broad section of people, don't you?
Yes, we do.
It's what age range do you mostly look after?
From about reception age, so about 5 up to 18. Is the main age. With Tappy Twins it's more aimed towards the younger, so between 5 and sort of 12, 13, but I still use the twins and I still use the town for them to actually contact me when I'm not in schools when they're older as well. So, but you know, they're still getting me at the end of the day.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So
and a little bit about exactly what you do. So are they referred to you, Suzanne, or do the schools contact you if they feel that they could use your help? How does it work?
I'm in schools 3 days a week at the moment, which I'm trying to cut back as I need to because it's so busy, but they normally come from either referral or social services or family support services. So if there's a child that's very vulnerable, might be in care or having sort of major trauma, they'll contact us, and then basically we will go into the school, support the school, the family, the child, etc., to help that person move forward and be the best that they can be. Really.
And I mean, and your therapy and in the way that you use your systems, they work, don't they, for the children?
Yeah, they absolutely do.
And are you still continuing to work with, how many children have you got at the moment? Do you know, or is it too many to even say?
It's too many to even say. I mean, I've got private clients as well. I've just finished working with a young man, bless him. He was doing his 11 plus, and last time he couldn't do it. He was actually physically sick. So he was referred through to me, and he's come through, and it's Saturday just gone, he's just sat it. So I'm really pleased for him.
Do you find, Suzanne, that there's more children now with issues, with emotional issues?
There are. I mean, one of the things that is a big hot potato for me at the moment, and I'm actually looking at raising a national campaign on it, is for self-harm. I have one of my girls at the moment. She has about 12 friends and 8 of them self-harm. So that's from starving themselves to actually cutting themselves with various things. So I think the issue is they're just finding a different way to express themselves and actually get that control back. So in any way that we can help with that,
we've had an emotions expert, John Rushton, on the show, and we've spoken about mental health issues, particularly in the young. Why do you think it is, Suzanne, that the young are struggling so much at the moment?
I just think there's just so much pressure on them. It's all about academics, and we're not concentrating. I do think as a society we are really letting our kids down. In a lot of different ways. It's all about results, and we don't actually look at developing the emotional aspects of the child. And if someone's not emotionally ready, they're not going to do well in exams anyway. So we need to look at the whole picture to ensure that they are the best that they can be and they're happy.
Do you think because of that, because the schools and colleges are so results driven, that the emotional side of the child gets left behind?
I do, definitely, yeah. That's the whole point of me going in and working with the children, whether it's just that they've got lack of confidence or whether they have actually gone through major trauma, it doesn't matter. They need to be in that position where they've moved on from it and they feel comfortable to then get the results that they need and have a really happy future, so I do think there's an issue at the moment.
And when you're working with them, do the children open up and share their stories with you?
Oh, they do, bless them, yes. I absolutely adore them. As you know from last time, they all become my babies, and then I send them off as little swans and off they go into the world. They're just incredible, and I'm very blessed that they actually open up because they tell me everything, and I'm really fortunate they do that because then I can help them. You know, and because of the techniques that we use as well, it's very easy for them to open up without them even realising they've opened up. So if I'm using picture tapping, for example...
Yeah, tell us about some of the techniques. What do you use?
I use EFT, which is emotional freedom technique.
Okay, emotional freedom technique. Okay, tell us about that.
That basically is where you're tapping on meridian points whilst expressing how you feel. So what we're doing is keeping the conscious mind busy while we work with the subconscious mind, and literally all the answers are in the subconscious mind, and that helps them overcome anything that they're struggling with. Within that, we also use picture tapping, especially the younger ones, because they don't even need to tell me what the problem is. All they need to do is tap into how they feel. They draw a picture, and then we tap on the contents of the picture, and we do several pictures, and they get resolution, and the issue's gone. So we don't even need to know, and that's the beauty of it, especially if they've got trauma. You know, if they're not ready to tell you, then we can just get them to just start to draw. You know,
and when
brilliant.
they're sort of with you, do you work with them in a few sessions? How does it work?
Yeah. I mean, if you've got a minor issue, I suppose, I don't know, maybe a little bit of lack of confidence or nerves about exams or something, maybe about 5 or 6 sessions. But if you're working with major trauma, then that's going to come down to the individual. But yeah, they do vary a great deal. So I'm in schools, when I go in, I'm in every week. And I see the same children every week until they go into the world, and then I get another bunch.
Is that really important, do you think, for the child to have the, you know, the regularity, so it's you all the time? Is that important for a child with emotional issues?
Yeah, definitely.
Why is that important?
Because they need that continuity. They need to know. A lot of these children don't even get hugged. You know, they don't know that they're loved. And my belief is that every child deserves to be safe, happy and loved. And because I am who I am, and I never change with them. You know, I'm a very open and sort of hopefully a very caring person. You know, they can open up to me very quickly, and they know that, say for example, in one school I'm there every Thursday. They know on that Thursday, if they've had any issues during the week, they can talk to me. But also they've got the online platform that we have as well, which obviously is in the town, where they can come and speak to me anytime they want. So that support is always there for them.
Now at the moment you're doing this in the West Midlands.
Yes.
And beyond, have we gone a bit beyond that?
Oh, we've gone beyond that now. My goodness,
gone to the other side.
We've gone to the dark side. Yes, we have got people now in Surrey. I was in Surrey yesterday in a few schools. We've got Lorraine, she's beautiful in Surrey. We've got a couple more in Birmingham. We've got Worcester, Staffordshire and Cheshire and Derbyshire.
Really are broadening out.
Yeah.
Is that, and then what do you do? Do you train people to, you know, in your therapies
Absolutely.
and techniques? Is that how it works,
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yeah, a lot of these people are cherry picked, if you like, because they've already got a lot of these techniques under their belt anyway. And as an EFT trainer, I will then make sure that they're trained in EFT, and then they will go and work their magic in the school, because we need to get these kids as young as possible.
So I mean, you were talking about self-harm. Is that going to be something you think is going to be increase?
I think so. It's a huge problem. A huge problem. One of the schools again that I've been in, they've got so many of their year 7s.
Gosh,
that
what
are self-harming.
Age is that?
That's
That would be
11. That's my daughter's age.
Yes.
You know, that's 11, and that is really scary. And they go from rubbing, so they'll use like a rubber or something on their skin until it hurts, until it's damaged the skin, and then they'll get blades out of their pencil sharpeners, and then they'll go to breaking rulers, and then they'll go to glass. It's a huge issue, and these kids are crying out, and we need to listen to them. We need to make sure that we're supporting them in every way that we possibly can.
And the reasons behind self-harming, Suzanne,
Yep.
do you tell us just a little bit about what your thoughts are about that, why they would choose to self-harm?
I think a lot of them is a way of controlling. So, for example, someone who starves themselves, who doesn't eat properly, is basically saying, nothing in my life is in my control at the moment. However, I'm in control of what goes inside me. So they starve themselves. I've got a lot of people that do that, a lot of young ladies and boys actually that do that. With regards to if they're going through trauma or they're feeling pain, I've got a young lady that cuts herself when she gets angry. So it's her way of expressing herself rather than getting angry with people.
Yes.
She's trying to control how she's feeling, and that takes away the pain. Although it doesn't, because obviously end up with scarring.
Yes.
You know.
And when you're working with children like that, what do you find is, you know, is the core? Is there a core problem? Is there a sort of a pattern you're finding, or is it quite different?
I think it's
child?
very different for every child. I think a lot of the time they have gone through major trauma of some description, or they're feeling very vulnerable and controlled. So certain parts of society, for example, where, you know, they're very strict, then they will use whatever methods they can to help feel more in control. So I don't think we can sort of pinpoint it with one thing. I think it's a whole host of different things.
And when you're working with the children, you see them come through the other side.
Beautiful.
How do you feel?
I just can't tell you. I can't tell you. They tell me all the horror stories and I don't cry. And I am a crier. I hold my hand up. But I would just see them. Oh, they're just incredible. I've got one young lady, actually, I've been working with her for 3 years now, and she's now actually the young ambassador of Tappy Twins. And she's been on work experience with me. She will go on all the different events with me. She is absolutely incredible, and what a journey she's come on. Really? Unbelievable. I watch her with the kids. She comes into school with me, and I watch her with the kids, and she is full of empathy and wisdom and using her experiences, and she's now got a job with me when she finishes university.
I was going to say, people who've gone through it, they can empathise as well as sympathise, can't they?
Yeah.
So would they make good, counsellors for you to actually employ to say, I'd like to help? Yeah,
definitely.
And you're doing it obviously West Midlands and beyond.
Yes.
And the future for Tappy Twins is huge. We've got the awards which we're going to speak about after the break. Yeah. But it's going. What's your thoughts on that, Suzanne? How would you like to see?
Well, the online platform that we have, I need that 24 hours so the children can get the support when they need it.
Tell us about that. So what's that?
Literally, they go into the town, the Tappy town, and they go into the windmill when they need help.
Right. And so where is this? This is all online.
This is all online on tappytwins.com.
Right.
So you go onto there, and they go in as a twin, and they go into the windmill, and they can either get face-to-face support, obviously through school or privately with the parents, and they can get online, and they can get messaging backwards and forwards. Now we've got probably about 20-25 people waiting to do it full time to ensure. Obviously, we need a lot more than that, but that's going to come down to funding.
Yes.
Because obviously I've funded everything myself so far.
Yes.
So we want that 24 hours. There's going to be an app. We've also got really exciting stuff. I'm so excited. I know.
Can you tell us about that?
I don't know whether I can.
Maybe give us a snippet.
A little bit.
Yes. And then it'll be a Cuppa TV exclusive.
We've spoken to people about making it into cartoon and everything else.
Right.
So it's just
exciting.
Yeah.
We'll have to come back and tell us about
that. It's really
exciting.
Yeah. And what we're aiming to do is have that support in whatever medium the child needs. You've got kids on the phone all the time. My daughter's never off their phone.
Yes.
She's constantly attached to her.
It's like a second arm.
It is.
Really?
You take it away. It's like, I've lost my arm. But for them to be able to get access to that any time that they need and get that support, it's just an amazing. And the awards hopefully will bring that in for me as well.
And do you find that, talking about social media, because the children do spend an enormous amount of time on Facebook and Twitter and all the other social media networks. Is that contributing, do you think?
It absolutely is. It contributes to self-image because there's no way getting away from it. It contributes to self-harming. It contributes to major cyberbullying, which again is one of my lovely little bugbears. Even my daughter over the holidays was actually, someone was calling her all sorts of different names because she wouldn't speak to them. It was a boy actually, I think he liked her, bless him. And she wasn't responding, so he started having a go at her. And because it's 24/7, the children can't get away from it. And it's like when people aren't face to face, they say so much more, and the stuff that they say is just vile. Really
it's almost
vile.
as though because they're not in personal contact, seeing face to face, it's almost so it's just a machine. I can just put in whatever I like.
And it doesn't matter what I say. But unfortunately, that has a huge impact, and that's why we have people that are self-harming, very depressed, mental health issues, anxious. And it's got to stop.
And are the children losing the ability, to actually converse with people because of social media?
I think so.
Are they? In that way, is that contributing to their emotional issues because they can't actually speak about it to somebody, but they can tap away and speak about it, to their friends maybe on social media. Is that a problem? Do you think?
I think it is a problem, and also the main thing is the safety of it. I've got one child who was about to meet up with someone that we don't know, and it turned out to be a man, and they just gone on there as a child. So you don't know who's on the other end, and this is one thing that I push with all the kids that I work with. That you don't know who you're speaking to. You have to remain safe. You don't get any details out. You don't tell them that you're going to be somewhere. You don't put anything on social media at all. That's very personal, because you don't know who that person is.
Because somebody could say that they're a 12-year-old girl,
absolutely,
but actually they're not a 12-year-old girl.
No, they're not. It's scary.
Again, do you think that the schools could help and do a little bit more about that, or do you find that they're, social media is now being sort of taught in schools?
I think social media is in all the schools that I work in and that my colleagues work in, they're very on top of it, and if there's any issues, they immediately go to those people and get it sorted out. Do I think that they understand everything? No, because we don't, because the kids, there's always something new coming out, and they understand technology so far better than any of us. Do you know what I mean? They do.
If you want anything done technology, just give it to your child.
I don't set the phone up for me. But because of that, there's always new social media platforms coming out all the time, and it's very difficult for adults to keep on top of what's out there.
Yes.
And as a result, these kids are going on there, and you don't know who they're talking to.
Yes. And it's the terminology they use as well. It's a completely different language, isn't it? As well. Which again, when you're working with the kids, I'm sure that they bring that up and talk to you. So you've got to be quite au fait with all of that.
I am, yes. I have to sort of like la 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 at times. Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break now, but stay here, and it's been really interesting talking to you. Thank you. So stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. I'm still here with Suzanne Skeete from Tappy Twins. Suzanne, thank you so much. It's just been great talking to you.
Thank you.
And we've got so much more to talk about. Let's talk about the awards. Now, tell me about those, because those are coming up quite soon.
They are very soon.
Okay.
They're the Courageous Kids Awards. They're on the 21st of November, and it's going to be at the Great Hall in Birmingham University, which is the most stunning room you have ever been in. It's so beautiful. There are 21 awards. And there's an ultimate award within that, which are being decided on the 28th of September by our amazing judges. We've got 12 judges. I was
going to say, you've got a full panel of judges.
We've got a full panel of judges.
Who have you got?
We've got people like Danielle Brown, who is a 3-time Olympic champion. We've got Luella Bailey, Gary Newborn, and then we've got major sort of personalities and people that are really important within Birmingham as well. So we're very lucky to have them.
Brilliant. Now, this is your first awards.
It is the first awards, yes.
So tell me why you decided to do this.
Well, we were sat in a beer garden, actually. I've got to be honest, by the canal. We were. A very good friend of mine, Nick, introduced me to the amazing Jo Jeffries, and we sat down and we were chatting about where we wanted to take Tappy, etc., and the future. What lies ahead for all the kids that we work with, and it was just born from there, really. And it was a case of, I want to mark the children's journeys that they've been on, and these kids, they would break most adults of what they've been through. And I just think, well, the journey they've been off, I'm so proud of them. We're going to deck them out in all long dresses, and Dickie, both the youngest one's 5, he's going to look so beautiful. But the difference between this and a lot of different awards that are out there is that we're actually putting in place future things for them as well. So we've got mentoring, we've got work experience, we've got people that are coming in who are their heroes. And I'm so excited. I can't let any of that slip, because obviously one of them might be watching and they're going to know, and I can't have that.
But there's going to be high-profile people that are going to
well.
attend.
Yes.
Wonderful.
We've got Sunny and Shay from BBC West Midlands. They're coming in to actually deliver the Ultimate Award. We've got the Brooks, and we've got Danny Dridden, both of those from X Factor. We've got Faith Tucker, who sang at the Rugby World Cup. She's incredible, amongst a host of lots of other fantastic people.
Wonderful. And I mean, when you're putting this together, so you've said, right, that's it, this is what I'm going to do. A lot of work, though, I should imagine, has gone into that. A few sleepless nights. And obviously it's going to continue until November.
Until November,
but
yes.
How did you go about thinking about the children? How do people get nominated, or how does it work?
We've had the nominations come in, and then a panel of us have actually sat down and worked out who's going to get the awards. And then on the 28th, the Ultimate Award will be decided, because there's no way I could even be involved in that decision, because they're just all incredible. So the judges are going to sit down and have that very difficult task of deciding who is actually going to win the award. The Ultimate Award on the night, so yes.
And you've got the 21 awards, you said?
We've got 21 awards.
So tell us about that. What sort of categories have you?
We've got things like Bravery, Shining Star Award, Confidence. There's a whole host of different things. They're all nominated for very different, unique reasons. They're just, each one of them are just incredible.
And is it something that you feel that can go on? Once you've done this one, would you like it to continue?
Yes, please. Yes. If I'm still in one piece after this one, we'll do another one. No, our plans are obviously this year it's regional. Next year we're having national, which will obviously be a lot bigger and a lot more work to put together, but you know, it's all non-profit, so we need sponsors. We need the bums on seats to sponsor the events, to help give these kids the most amazing time of their life. They will be treated like kings and queens. I have been out begging, stealing, and I haven't stolen anything. I've been begging, and I've come out with bags of stuff, and one of my little boys asked me for a pool. I asked him for a wish list.
A swimming pool?
A swimming pool. He lives in a flat.
Okay.
I'm good, but not that good. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. So he's not getting a pool, but he will get something that he wants.
Yes, that's it. So, but again, do you find people have been very generous, though, in helping you, Suzanne, with it?
Yes. I had one, actually. I mean, we've just secured a £30,000 production for the event. And that is free of charge. Wow. And I feel so humble about it, and I can't wait to see it, because they're going to bring my town alive. I can't wait. But they've come on board. It's MCL Create. They're absolutely incredible. We've got Hamilton Bland, who's the old TV sports personality presenter. He's coming to do an auction on the night. People, my Ping videographers meeting up shortly after here, because we're filming a promotional video today.
So it's all sort of go.
It's just incredible, incredible.
And do you find that, were you surprised, Suzanne, at people saying, yes, I'd like to get involved, I'd like to help, or are you thinking, actually, no, everybody probably will help me?
I think initially it was a big, tall order, because just to put the food on alone with the venue is just under 15,000. So we need some serious cash coming in, which is obviously what we've been doing, working over the summer whilst we're not at school and things. So, and Jo, bless her heart, Jo has been out there. She has been working like an absolute trooper. I'm so lucky to be working with her, because she's just incredible. I know she's a big advocate of the show as well, but she's just been incredible.
And you need people like that, don't you, to support you and to guide you through. What's been the toughest thing doing this awards?
Do you know what the toughest thing is? Dressing the kids. Seriously, I went into school the other day with 4 dresses for 3 girls to try on, and they were like proper little divas. And also
don't like the colour.
I don't like the colour. And they saw someone else wearing another one. They said, "Can I try that one?" Like, well, they've got it on. You know, but dressing, but also making sure we've got the right people at the awards. Because again, it's not about us, it's about the kids, it's about their future, it's about having the right people in that room that can make a difference to those people's lives, because they deserve it. It's also about raising awareness for self-harm.
I was going to say, you're obviously going to be raising awareness.
That's my little platform, I think, will be, you know, when I do my speech, I will be going up there and I'll be making people aware that we can't ignore anymore. It's not, just because it's not happening to our child, we can't ignore what's going on out there.
I mean, I'm sure there are other organisations around the country, Suzanne, that do what you do. And what makes Tappy Twins so special and so different, would you say?
Oh, that's a hard one, isn't it? I think one of them is just our complete and utter passion for what we do. Every single person that works with Tappy has had their own trauma. And we said that about in the first part, didn't we? You know, they've got the empathy there with those children. Also, every child that I work with, if they do a fantastic job in terms of development, they become a character in the town. So the town is very sort of family safe orientated. And obviously with doing online as well as face-to-face, you know, there's very different ways the children get hold of us.
And do you find that the online media, is that sort of taking off? Is that, I mean, we've spoken about that before the break, of course, but do you find that that's really going to escalate and get more popular, do you think?
Absolutely. I think when the app's in place, because obviously you've got the older kids that are constantly on apps. When the app's in place, I've got a game coming on as well, so that will be added on healthy eating. I know, I'm very impressed. When the gamers told me about it, I was like, they're going to love that. But it's actually good fun. I actually took them. I took the guys into one of my schools and they tested it in the schools. The kids loved it. They loved it. So once we've got all those things, the website itself is going to become more animated. Obviously with the help of some amazing people that have come on board with the awards. So.
And so the awards, do you think you'll have them at the same time, because they're on the 21st of November?
Yes.
Would you like that to be sort of a regular event every year?
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah,
I think so.
Because it's a good time of year, isn't it?
Just before Christmas, before party season starts.
It's a good time of year. Yeah. And then when the obviously when they win the award, are they going to have a trophy? Or?
Yes, we've got them all made. Yes. They're already there. My house is getting fuller and fuller of stuff. It's just like, open a cupboard, more stuff. They'll get an award. They'll get a package which I can't talk about because obviously they're all individual, but things off their wish list and magical things. I've got people like, I will name one, but she won't be watching, hopefully she's in school. I've got one young lady who wants to do gymnastics and has got no money at all, and there's no way it could happen. And Revolution Gymnastics, bless them, are giving her gymnastic lessons and the gym kits and everything else. So so
people have been very generous.
They've just been amazing, amazing.
Very generous and very supportive.
Yes.
And would you like to see the same thing go out across the country?
Yes,
I mean, we
please.
spoke about national.
Absolutely.
Would that be your dream, Suzanne,
yes.
to do that?
Yes. And I think the ultimate award should be national as well. You know, maybe we could have like regional and then get to the big one.
Yes,
and have
regional sort, like they do with the pageants.
Yes,
you know, we have those on the show. Have regional sort of heats, if you like, and then go to a national.
I think that'd be good.
And if you could go to the government, you know, and look and say to them like, these are the issues. These are what I see every day when I work with children. What would you say to any of the?
I've met up with a member of parliament, a local member of parliament. About a month ago during the summer holidays, and I just sort of expressed, you know, what was happening, and he's very happy to get on board. He's based in Dudley, so he's happy to get on board because a couple of the award winners are from there as well. And I think we can go around with little blinkers on. And,
I was going to say, do you think we do as a society just blinker?
Yeah, I think we do. I think there's the reputation of kids with hoodies on, and you know, there's gangs and there's this and there's that, and you know, these kids are hurting and they need support. So, and I just see them for who they are, and then you know, hopefully that's how I make them.
And then when
feel
you,
better.
Is there anything else you'd like to do? I mean, you spoke about you want to do, there's loads of things that you're thinking about. You've got loads of ideas.
Yes.
Would you involve the children that come through your programme in any way through those ideas?
Yes. Well, their characters will be coming to life anyway. So, you know, the characters that are in the town, they will be, you know, in cartoons and whatever, because they're already part of the town. So, yes, definitely. We've already got, obviously, the one young lady who's young ambassador.
Yes.
I see those people that have gone through major trauma in the future, the older ones, definitely mentoring the younger ones. I see also the online support, having the younger people there trained to actually help support if they don't want to speak to an adult. I think it's really important.
And for the future, do you think people will go through, will come to the online more?
Yes.
Or do you think, yes, you do,
I do,
rather than go to a one-to-one?
I think we'll be in the schools, because obviously every school, our aim is to be in every school in the country. That's our aim. We need to get the children very early. We need to get the support in place. We need to concentrate on their emotional development more.
It's almost like we've got to accept the fact that social media is here. The children are using it, so we have to adapt and come up with ideas and ways to actually engage with them using it.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
It's just been wonderful. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
joining me.
And please, if there's anybody out there that can help sponsor booking a table or help the children in any way, please get in touch with the show or go on to Tappy Twins. They go on to tappytwins.com. The Courageous Kids Awards is there already.
Wonderful, excellent.
So,
yes, please. All the best with it.
Thank you.
Come back and tell us
you'll be there anyway.
Absolutely, I'll be there.
Absolutely, you'll be there. I'm not going
to see you. Thank you. Take care.
You.
We're just going to take another break. Come back and join me in just a second. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. I'm now joined by Stef Lunn, a lady who's managing a project called MCA. She's here today to tell us all about it and to talk us through. So welcome, Stef. Thank you so much for joining us on Cuppa TV.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Now, it ties in very nicely with, we were just with Suzanne from Tappy Twins, and now we're going to be talking about sort of the other end of the spectrum. So tell us a little bit about what the MCA project is.
Okay, so the MCA project, which is not very snappily titled, takes its title from a piece of law called the Mental Capacity Act.
Right, so the Mental Capacity Act, so obviously that's the MCA. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, it's not very exciting sounding, but it is very important. And basically what it does, it's a piece of law that's been around since 2005, and it is just there to protect people's right to make their own choices. The big choices in their lives and the small choices in their lives, and it particularly protects people who have some difficulties in understanding or thinking or making decisions. So people with dementia, people with learning disabilities, or people with mental health problems, or even a physical problem or an emotional problem, like Suzanne was talking about, which affects somebody's ability to kind of weigh up and understand the choices that they're making.
Concise decision, yes. And is it aimed at a particular age group?
Not at all. So, well, the Mental Capacity Act actually applies to all people aged 16 and over. And essentially it's based on 5 principles, and the first principle of the Act is really, really nice and concise and helpful. It says that if somebody's 16 or over, we should presume that they have the capacity to make their own decisions, rather than presuming just because they've got a particular condition that they can't. So we should presume that they can, and do everything that we can to support that person to make their own choices and to stay in control.
So in other words, looking at the positive way,
Exactly.
rather than look at the negative, the fact maybe they can't. So it's taking the positive attitude to it. And with the Act's been around for a long time.
Yes.
So some people may or may not know about the Act. But what was the decision to, because you work with the NHS, what was the decision to come up with this project?
Okay, so because the law's been around for a little while, you would think that it would be well embedded by now. You would think that people would know what their rights are. You would think that professionals would know what their responsibilities are. But there's been a number of high-profile investigations into it. The House of Lords did a report. The Care Quality Commission, the people who inspect hospitals, have looked into it. And we found that really people who need to know about it just don't. And most importantly, the public, whose rights are supposed to be protected by this law, don't know about it either. But people do know more than they think. There are lots of people who, when I talk about this, say, oh yes, I've heard of powers of attorney or lasting power of attorney.
But they don't actually perhaps put the two together.
Exactly.
And you said about the CQC, the Care Quality Commission. I mean, they're a huge body, aren't they? That, as you say, looks after everything to do with care in the UK.
Care homes, hospitals, the whole lot.
Everything. And they did their own study, did they?
Yeah.
And came up with the fact that people don't
exactly
really understand it or understand where to go. Was that the reasoning?
Precisely. So the House of Lords report, the CQC report and various other investigations all flagged up the fact that there's a lack of understanding, a lack of awareness, and that means that people's rights aren't always respected the way that they should be. So the NHS put some money together and said that local NHS organisations could do something about it. In fact, we're required to do something about it.
I was going to say, were you given the sort of, not an ultimatum, but did you have to do it, as opposed to it might be quite nice to do it?
Well, they made funding available, and so it's an opportunity that we would have really been daft to miss, really.
Yes.
So the clinical commissioning groups, these GP consortia that you might have heard of before, in Birmingham, Sandwell and Solihull, got together and appointed us to lead this project with 2 purposes really: to help make sure that professionals across the piece know what they're supposed to be doing and support them with the challenges they face every day, but also to raise awareness amongst the public, which is one of the reasons that I'm here.
Yes, that's right, it's here today. And when you talk about the MCA Act, is it just people just know certain bits of it, do you think,
Absolutely.
Stef? I mean, we said about the powers of attorney. What other bits do you think that they might sort of recognise, in your experience?
Okay, so powers of attorney is a big
explain that
thing.
again for people who may not know what that is.
Essentially, a power of attorney is where you nominate somebody to speak up on your behalf and to manage your affairs if and when the time comes that you're not able to do that for yourself.
Right.
So a classic example would be if somebody's been diagnosed with sort of early stage memory problems, perhaps
dementia or
perhaps
Alzheimer's.
Dementia, absolutely. They might think, right, okay, I know that this is a degenerative condition. I know that my ability to manage my own affairs is going to deteriorate. And the person I want to act in my stead is my daughter, is my husband, is my sister. And you nominate that person, it gives them the legal authority to make certain decisions on your behalf. It means that someone who you know and love and trust, and someone who knows about you as a person, is making those decisions on your behalf.
Because it's quite a thing, isn't it, to be given the power of attorney? It's quite I mean, it is power, isn't it? You've got really power to control that person's life. So again, the Act will stipulate, who can, not exactly who can do it, but it will give guidance to that person.
Absolutely. So actually, lasting powers of attorney, there are 2 sorts.
Yes.
There's one which means that the person can look after property, finances and sort of those kinds of affairs.
Yes.
And that can be enacted even when the person has still got the capacity but actually hasn't got the physical ability to manage those things anymore. So if I nominated my sister to be my property and finance LPA, then she would be able to do that even if I said, oh, I'm too poorly today, can you go to the bank and do these things for me?
Okay.
The other kind, the health and welfare LPA, only kicks in if the person lacks the capacity to make that particular decision about a particular operation or a move to a particular care unit or something like that. And there is protection. I guess there might be a worry that somebody might act against your wishes.
Yes.
Obviously, the key thing is to talk to that person, be confident that they know why you're nominating them, and for you to have faith and trust in that person.
Yes.
But there is a court of protection that exists, and so on the very, very, very few occasions where people act in a way that is not in accordance with that person's wishes, feelings and best interests, then the Court of Protection can actually take that LPA away. And also the person, for as long as they have the capacity, they can always revoke an LPA.
I was going to say they can change their minds.
Absolutely, of course they can, because the whole point of the Act is the person's choices belong to that person. It's your decision.
Yes. And I mean there's been a lot in the news about people's choices and what they want to do as far as when they come to the end of their lives. Obviously we've seen an increase in dementia and Alzheimer's, so this obviously links in with families and carers of those people will be very concerned about what's going to happen to their property and their wealth and just everything around them really. So part of when you were asked to manage this project then, because your background is social worker, is that right? Yeah. So part of when you were asked to manage this particular project, Stef, did you think this was a good idea? Did you think this is what was needed?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, personally, I'm a little bit geeky about the MCA. I like it.
That's okay.
I like
you can allow to be. You're managing it. That's fine. Yes.
It's because it's really one of a very few pieces of legislation that exists to protect and enable people's rights. My background is in disability, particularly in learning disability, and I've seen lots and lots of people where their choices have been taken away from them on the presumption that they can't understand.
Yes.
But actually, we all make choices on the basis of imperfect information. Who hasn't ever made a mistake in their lives? And we learn from those mistakes. Yeah. So, of course, there are times when people can't understand the consequences of what they're planning to do. And in that case, it may be appropriate to step in and take a decision on their behalf. But I use myself very often as an example. Every day, I cycle to work from Snow Hill Station up the Hagley Road. So I go up Broad Street, I go up Hagley Road on my little fold-up commuter's bike. And probably you would say that's not a very wise decision, but I understand the risks. I understand that it's
a busy road.
It's a busy road. There's a chance that someone will clip me or I'll fall off. I understand I might end up under a bus, but I know that. And because I know those consequences, we would say that I have the capacity to make that decision. And far too many people who have lived their own lives, have lived a full life and have made their own decisions are seeing those decisions taken away from them before they ought to be really. For some people, their life has become so small and so protected that they're not living anymore. And so the MCA is about you keeping control of your decisions, you nominating someone who you know and love and trust, who can make the decisions that you would have taken. And also, the other thing people will have heard of, you were talking about end of life, is people have often spoken about living wills.
Yes. Tell us about that.
So that's a provision of the Act. In the Act, it's actually called making an advance decision.
Right.
And it's as simple as writing down and talking to people involved in your life about what you would and wouldn't want for the future.
Right.
So the classic example of a group of people who use advanced decisions very often are Jehovah's Witnesses. So a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, during their life while they've got capacity, know that they don't want certain medical procedures to be undertaken with them. And they think, well, okay, but in the future, if I'm not able to express my wishes, I still don't want those kinds of things happening to me. So they note it down, they raise it with their GP, they make sure that everybody involved in their medical care is aware of it. An advanced decision doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to be recorded with the people who are involved in your care and treatment. And it can include, and I realise this is a very touchy subject, but again, I think it's people's right to know this. It can include a refusal of certain life-sustaining treatment. So if you've watched a relative go through a very long and drawn-out and painful illness, and it's an illness that you yourself have inherited, you can say, if I was in the same situation, I do not want this, this and this to be done to me. And so that's another way of you maintaining that control, even if you're in a situation when you can't express yourself.
See, I don't think people, and probably some of the viewers, because some of the things you're saying I didn't even realise, so you know, some of the viewers will be thinking the same. So again, it's good that you have this project, because you're going to be highlighting the things that are in the Act and really letting people take back control of their lives.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. It is, of course, always balancing it with protection for people.
Yes.
And I'm not suggesting that everybody is in a position to make all of their own decisions. So if somebody has a profound learning need or a severe mental health problem, then of course they will need decisions sometimes to be made on their behalf. But again, the Act sets out how to do that and in what circumstances. So it says if ever professionals are making a best interests decision, that's what it's called, a best interests decision on someone's behalf, that actually families need to be involved in that discussion, and the person themselves needs to be involved in that discussion as much as possible. And I know that that doesn't always happen in practice either.
Yes.
So if people and families know that that is their right, then it allows them to stand up and be counted.
Yes, and then when you're, you know, as a family, if you're going through any of this, and some of our viewers may actually be in the situation at the moment where they're comprehending, you know, perhaps someone's being diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia, they don't quite know what to do, so they can come to you.
Yes, absolutely. So they wouldn't be able to come directly to the project. There are only 3 of us.
Yes.
To cover that whole massive geographical
But how does
area.
it work? How is it going to work?
So this part of the project is we've got a campaign going.
Yes.
Some viewers might have seen the adverts on the TV.
Yes.
You might have seen the stories of Atif, Matt, Doris and Richard. They're the 4 stories.
Okay. And what are their stories? What do they tell the stories of?
They're the very short snippet of how they've been involved with the Mental Capacity Act, how it's affected them. So Doris has set her son up as an LPA because she was her mother's LPA, and it was very tricky in her situation, so she wanted to make sure it was straightforward for him, for example. So what there is on there is a telephone number that people can call, and if they call that telephone number, they will receive an advice pack, and in that advice pack it tells them a little bit more to point them in the right direction. But most importantly, it gives them a list of places and numbers that they can contact. So it tells them what professionals they might talk to who might already be involved in their care, but it also gives them some general numbers and physical places that they can go to get advice and support with whatever aspect of the Act is relevant to them.
So it's really practical advice, practical help, you know, to help people.
It's no use if it's not practical, because people's rights can only be protected if they've got the right things in place and if they know the information that they need to know.
And when you became involved with it yourself, Stef, obviously you're, as a background, you know, you've got the background in care yourself. What was it something that you've said already, you know, it's something you've got quite a passion about. Are you pleased the fact that now this has come together and you've got this project that people have and will have the understanding of what it actually is all about? Absolutely.
I mean, it's a great responsibility really on our part, and I'm hopeful that we can touch as many people as we can, we can reach as many people as we can, but it's a big job because it's relevant to so many people who are not otherwise tuned into kind of health and social care, and it can only protect people, it can only support people if they know about it. So it's a huge undertaking, and we're keen to just get it out there through community organisations, through any vehicle that we have really, through, for example, the dementia cafes that the Alzheimer's Society run. They're really great at offering support on this and many other topics, and so it's just getting people to where that information
to make awareness really, isn't it? Because that's, I think, when you make people aware of things, and then they have informed choices, can't they? They can then decide what they want to do or not do, as the case may be. And this, at the moment, the current campaign is going out across the West Midlands, Birmingham, Sandwell, and Solihull.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you nationwide. Is it a nationwide campaign? Is that your hope?
Well.
Or do different sectors will be running their own campaign?
Yeah, there is funding in the NHS across the piece, so different organisations have chosen to use it in different ways. And the way that we're doing it is a little bit different, you know, just using any vehicles that we can find and really trying to engage with the public on it. It's cutting the balance really, because you can be you can feel that you're a bit of a scaremonger sometimes, but on occasion it's important to say to people, you know, if ever you weren't in a position to manage your own property and finances and affairs, do you know that you're your family don't have the right to do that unless you've got them set up properly.
Because we're hearing more and more stories where, you know, families are arguing, families, you know, in the news, there's been conflicts right at the end of the, you know, end of someone's life, and we're living longer as, you know, as a nation, we're living longer now.
Yeah.
So do you think this would have more impact? This is going to have more impact now on people's lives?
I should think so, yes. We know that the older we are, the more likely we are to be diagnosed with dementia. What I would say is we shouldn't overstate the case. There are many people who never develop those cognitive problems. But the older we get, the higher our chances of developing dementia, the same as the higher our chances of developing kidney failure or heart disease.
Just because of the natural process of ageing.
Exactly. And so if it is your mind that fails you, if it is your brain that causes the problem, then at least you can have these things in place, because the fear for me and for many other people is that you are alive but you aren't able to express yourself and you're not in control of your life.
I should imagine quite a lot of people will be fearful of something like that, because again it's that not feeling of having control.
Exactly, which again is something that you were talking about earlier in the show, but how it's really terribly damaging for our mental well-being not to feel in control of our lives. So it's really important. So I think not just older people and not just people who are thinking about wills, but if you've got a will in place and that sorts out what happens after you've died, then what about that bit before you die? That to me is more important. Making sure that those final years, months, weeks are lived in accordance as much as possible with my choices. That's really important.
And as you say, engaging with your family and friends and letting them know exactly what you want, rather than just perhaps relying on what they think that you want.
Exactly. As I said, if you haven't got these things in place, then the health and social care professionals involved will absolutely do their best. They should find out what they can about you, they should consult with your family and friends, they should do everything they can to make a decision that is reflective of what you would have wanted. However, it's not quite the same. You are leaving your sort of fate in the hands of people that you don't know. The Ministry of Justice did a little campaign about it not so long ago, and they called it Choice Not Chance, and they were trying to encourage people to do both of those things, to write a will and to set up a lasting power of attorney, so that what happens to you is your choice and it's not left just a chance.
So how can people contact? So they just, is there a website? Do they go onto the website?
They can click on Big Centre TV. There's a link to our website, so they can just click on the banner there. But the telephone number at the end of the advert is a Birmingham number. So they'll see it on the advert. It's 0121 667 4000.
Okay, well we'll have that up on the advert so they can see that. But it's, you know, it's a fascinating topic, and I'm sure that the viewers that have watched that would, you know, have maybe learnt something from it. I know how I have. So you know, it's wonderful. So. And good luck with the campaign. Is it going to be a long-going campaign?
We're
Stef,
on to begin with for 3 months, and we'll see how it pans out. If it's successful, then we hope to keep it running for longer.
Wonderful, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that's it for today. I'd like to thank all of my guests for joining me today. And if you'd like to get in touch with us here at Big Centre TV, you can do so by joining us on Facebook or Twitter at Big Centre TV. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and come back and see me again very soon. Bye-bye.